All right, super excited for another episode here with a great member of our community, somebody that kind of grew up in the second portion of my life with. This is going to be exciting. Welcome back to the Pure Playbook. All right, Coach Malach Radigan.
Let's go.
Francis Howell Central.
D1 titles here.
Yeah, well,
we didn't want a lot of the viewers the first time.
Yeah. So D1 Coach Malach Radigan. He is
self-proclaimed.
Definitely self-proclaimed. he is piggybacked on the coattails of Lindenwood, our alma mater, becoming D1.
Right.
It was NAIA, D2, as we were at Lindenwood, right? And so now he's far away, graduated and escaped Lindenwood.
Aging me.
So
here's the thing, though. With high schoolers, when Lindenwood went Division I, I was like, hey, you're being taught by a D1 coach. I announced it to every hour that day.
Yeah.
One of the hours we watched the public service announcement. And kids were like, Coach, they were D2 when you were there. I was like, okay, that's it. Just a little more time. They didn't know I was at the IA first. Yeah. So now
hope you like the bench.
Turn your gear in. You're done. This is now a cut sport. But
so here's kind of how I want to start. We've just enjoyed really starting this. All this is about you. Okay, so this is why we do the podcast. Introduce people into the community of people we want them to know.
Yeah.
So, but I want to start with, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up? All the questions.
Yeah, let's get it, man.
And so just take me, where are you from? How you came up? What'd you do? How'd you get here?
Yeah, for sure. So I originally grew up in Florissant, Missouri for about 12 years. Get to middle school and we moved to New Melly. So I went from
Oh my gosh.
suburb to New Melly, where it's like my neighbor's 20 minutes away. This is awful.
And your neighbor is a cow.
Yeah, my neighbor's a cow, the little chicken running around. You calling my neighbor fat? Or was that
Farm animal cow.
Did you know my neighbor? No, but man, I grew up in a broken home, single mother household, kind of raised by my two older brothers at the time, and so I was a mama's boy in a goody two shoes, and so I would snitch on my older brothers all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And get beat up for it. But when I moved from from Hazelwood to New Melly, it was a cultural shock, man. I got into the friend group with some like popular guys, and I went from this guy who was just kind of living the straight and narrow to just getting in a downward spiral of life events. And so throughout middle school, I could be like unfiltered, right? It was bad. Yeah, I was like, I went from doing nothing to being the main party guy to by 8th grade, it's like I was the drug dealer. I was the guy doing drugs and selling for my brothers, and just not a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
I get to high school and it kind of like magnifies. It's like a whole new group of friends.
Yeah.
You gotta make that I gotta make that appearance now. I gotta live up to their standard for their approval. But my freshman year of high school, I got connected with a guy named Darren Sissel, another local guy.
Okay.
And he was like a health teacher, but he was also a baseball. I didn't play baseball, but like he also ran the weight room. And so fell in love with the weight room. I started building this relationship with Darren Sissel. Still all while family kind of be in trouble and whatnot. But while I'm building this relationship with him, my sophomore year, he was like, hey, you should come to FCA after football practice. I was like, what's FCA?
Yeah.
He's like, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I was like, hard pass. The reason why I said hard pass, I grew up, my parents were divorced at a super young age. I don't even remember them being together, but my dad's from Palestine. So at this time, he's living back in Dubai with one of his wives. With a wife, sorry. I want to edit that one out. One of his wives. And so we didn't really have a strong relationship. And so I was like, but coming from a Muslim background on his side, I was like, I can't become a Christian. Like I can't go to a Christian event. That'd be awful. So Sissel's like, there's free pizza after football practice on Tuesday. I was like, I will see you on Tuesday after football practice. So legitimately, I went to FCA for the free pizza after football practice. And just to kind of explain the bum that I was. On the way there, went to Quick Trip, stole from Quick Trip, ate taquitos in the bathroom, put a bag of Twizzlers in my pocket, and walked out like I was just a punk, right? And so all that being said, going through this complex of like trying to be an athlete, finding value in all these other avenues of whatever the world had to offer, always leaving me empty, right?
Yeah.
So through FCA, I'm watching now. I'm a sophomore. I was on varsity, but if you guys know anything about football, an outside linebacker makes a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
That was not me. I started 8 games in a row, and I had 8 tackles. So not good. It just shows you where we're at. So I wasn't the best football player, but I was on varsity, and I get to FCA, and I'm watching some of these varsity teammates talk about Jesus Christ, and I'm like, all right, these dudes are weird, right? I'm like, what is happening? And so I wait till everyone leaves, and I start asking Sissel, I'm like, who's Jesus? What does he want to do in my life? Why does this matter? And he's like, well, who do you think he is? And I'm like, that's not helping me. I want the answers, man.
Right,
So I just
tell
went down
me.
this path of like exploring, man. I started having conviction of the lifestyle I was living, the partying, just who I was, how I treated the girls, how I treated people, all that stuff. I started having conviction, and that summer I went to an FCA camp, flipped my life right side up, and because of Darren's influence in my life, I wanted to be a coach and a teacher, right? But then that next year, Brian Coke came on the scene at Francis Howell High School, and he made me want to be a man. He taught me like discipline, investment, what your word means, commitment, work ethic, all that. And so really I had a really cool mixture of 2 mentors. And there's other guys in there, right, that I'm
Of
probably not
course.
mentioning, but those 2 profound impact on my life. I go to college, I was like, I'm gonna be a teacher. That's it. I already figured out I'm gonna be a teacher. Well, get to Lindenwood, D1. And I get to Lindenwood, and junior year, second semester of my junior year, I was like, I'm gonna switch majors. Like, why? Who does that? Me.
Almost everybody
yeah.
who goes to
Everybody
college.
nowadays.
So I do that because I was like, I want to stay around sports. I want to be involved
Yeah.
with athletics. And so then I switched my degree to mass communications. And I'm like, I'll do broadcasting, things like that. I told you via text, I have a face for radio.
Yes.
So I was ready for it.
Which is perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Why-
perfect.
He's an honest man.
Listen to
Malik's
this one.
Malik's an honest man.
See, they're like, why is he looking at the camera? So
This is one you're going to want to listen to, not watch.
folks, please save yourself. Do not watch this one. Just listen. So I switched majors. I go the long route. I played 4 years at Lindenwood. I got to coach my 5th year as like a student assistant.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, fell in love with it, but college was too much of a business. What I mean by that is like my best friends were still on the team, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been playing together.
yeah.
And then it's like, but I'm in meeting room listening to some of this the old staff, not right, wrong, or indifferent, but like hearing some of the language about some of these guys. I'm like, well, that's my roommate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you can't say that. He's great.
Right.
And so I knew I wanted to get back into coaching. And so I went back to Francis Howell High School, where I graduated from. I worked there as a para for three and a half years while I was getting my master's in education. And then became eligible. I became certified teacher, and I was looking for a job. Howell didn't have one. Howell Central did, and ended up at Howell Central a little over 6 years ago, and I've been in love ever since.
That's so
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, I was able to be an assistant coach for 4 of those years. I took off the 5th year because I think my years are backed up. I took off 1 year because my first son was gonna be born in June.
Aw.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't not be present for this. You know,
Yeah.
it was a hard decision, but like really wanted to make a decision for family. After I make the decision, the world shuts down 2-3 months later with COVID, and so kind of like, I know COVID was a very hard time for people, but for us, it was almost like, man, what a protected time for my wife being pregnant, for me
Yeah.
being home, from school shutting down and teaching. Like, it was just a good time to be home
Yeah.
together. It was awesome. Came out of that, and by the time COVID came out, the head coaching job at Howell Central had opened up, and so I applied for it, and by God's grace got it. And so we just finished year 2 of kind of taking over the program, and it's been a crazy but awesome, fun ride.
God's
That's
grace.
so awesome.
Oh yeah.
God's grace in D1 accolade.
Right.
He was-
You know
was
what I'm
it.
saying? Like, nice combo. You know? Yeah, but in that, I that's a short, condensed version. But like throughout that, I was like, I'm gonna find my wife at Lindenwood. Well, once I was done playing, I found my now wife Joy, and the second I saw her on Twitter, I was like, "What's up, girl?" You know, I was like, I'm in
Slid
love with
into
her.
those
Yeah.
DMs.
Oh, for sure. So got married to her. She's from Texas, so she's awesome. And now we have a son named Moses, who's 2.5. Yeah.
So how did
Oh
that
my
work out?
gosh.
Not very often can you get a Texas gal to
Yes.
stay away from Texas.
So and she doesn't want to go back.
Am I wrong?
No, you're
Oh
absolutely.
my
'Cause
gosh.
I'm like, hey, I'll go coach in Texas. That's
That's
she's
like
like,
NFL.
no, we're never going back. I love Missouri. I'm like, okay.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
like,
it's
I
fine.
love you.
Yeah, please just, you're amazing. No, so one of my teammates at the time, Chase Stewart, his middle school sweetheart came to one of the games, and he was like, and she was going to Texas Tech at the time.
Okay.
Chase is at Lindenwood playing football. His middle school sweetheart's at Texas Tech, and he's like, guys, I'm gonna propose to Kayla when she comes into town.
Aw.
Proposes, she says yes. She gets a full endowment scholarship, transfers to Lindenwood.
Oh wow.
There you
And then
go.
in that process, she's like, "Oh, we always joke like Kayla became one of the homies. Like we're always hanging." She's like, "My sister's coming up to visit," and then I
Oh
was
my
like, "You got a
gosh.
sister?" And I was like, "Does she love Jesus?" And Chase is like, "She loves Jesus." And so I stalk Joy on Twitter.
I love this. I love this so much.
I ended up liking a post from like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and then Kayla brings it up as we're all driving to church, truck full of all the guys, and she's like, "Yeah, Joy said you liked the post from like 2 years ago," and I was like, "No, what? No, I didn't."
So she noticed me, is what you're saying.
And mind you, I'm like 290 pounds at the time, straight up mullet, just rocking grout fits like it's the normal. And
Hey,
I'm
those
like,
are in now.
Yeah, mine weren't. My style was never in. So meet Joy, and man, I fall in love. I think it was a few days after she was in town. I had like journaled, like, God, I'm gonna marry her. I don't know how, because she lives 10 hours away, but like, I'm gonna marry this woman. And so what's cool is on our wedding day, Chappie, who married us, he read that letter, so it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
and I always
love
joke.
that.
Yeah, so do I, because I'm like, I have outkicked my coverage.
Yeah.
Like, she's out of my league. Any idiom you have to say, like to saying with it, she's that. And so I'm like, I think she might be partially blind. I'm gonna ride with it. We're 8 years in. I'm gonna keep going with it. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's been pretty sweet.
That's so wonderful.
So, what a background. That pretty
Yeah,
much
sorry.
sets the
I know, that was
stage.
Our time. We'll see.
No, that was
No, I think-
fabulous.
Yeah, I think that was great because you and I had crossed paths at Lindenwood, and I think even you even knew my brother
Yeah.
Bretland
Yep.
more than you did me at the time. But it's super crazy how God does work, because then you reach out to me this
Yes.
year. You found out, dude, didn't know you're like literally down the street from the school. Like, we need to get together.
Yeah.
Walking
So,
distance.
and we can talk more about that later. So, but with your background, with us meeting, we've already mentioned a lot about Jesus, and we're all sitting at this table, just, very, very faith people, and just God-loving, God-fearing people. But also, now being Francis Howell Central's high school coach,
Yeah.
it's kind of like almost dream come true.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe you haven't completed everything.
Sure.
But being the coach that you are, what is your goal as a coach? Who is Malach as a coach?
Yeah, they say like you're gonna coach how you've been coached, or the complete opposite, just like a mixture of that. Like how you coach is how you've been coached, or how you coach is who you don't want to become.
Right.
Fortunate enough to be mentored by a lot of people in that realm, but man, I'm a player's coach. And if you ask Jed Stewart, he can say anybody says they're a player's coach, but when I started the journey as like an assistant football coach, I'm like, man, I want to impact one life the way Darren Sissel and Brian Koch impacted my life.
Yeah.
And that's really spearheaded my coaching journey of whatever that looks like. And people can say it's a success or it's a failure based off the record, but which I sometimes find my identity in. But knowing that God's used me already to like make an impact in some kids' lives, like that's the most beautiful, fulfilling part of what this looks like. And so, part of who I am too, my faith, my identity in Christ, like it pours out into our core values as a program. Like as a head coach, it's like, what are your core values? It's like, oh, okay, I gotta make those. Sounds good.
Right.
Well, ours are.
What sounds good?
Correct.
Sounds good?
Yeah. And everyone makes fun of mine because they don't match up. Like in designs, it's always off
Right.
because it's
Like
servant leadership,
aesthetically.
relentless effort, and love. And so that does not look good anywhere you put
Can we
it.
put love in the middle? No.
That's good. Our junior program did that, and they put it. I was like, "Hey guys, that's the third one. Please,
Thank you.
please keep it consistent." But so I would love to say that's who I am. Oftentimes, like year one as a head coach, I was struggling, and I probably didn't portray the love of Christ well with my athletes. I probably didn't like treat kids as people more than like a product that one year, because there was a lot of stress, and I found my identity in those wins and losses. But year 2, man, we had a bunch of growth program wise, but it's like being reminded and getting back to the value of like, man, the kids come first. And I just tweeted this out because we had Rick Jones from Mizzou come clinic us.
Yeah.
But being influential is intentional. And so like reminding us of like the vision and mission, like love these kids, man. Like it's an experience for them, right?
Yeah.
How can I make sure a kid has the greatest experience coming to our program? And looking back on like, man, that shaped my life. I learned things in that program. And so really, man, just to impact lives is the end goal. But part of that, you get so caught up in like, I want to win. I want to build a championship program and culture. How do I do that while honoring these kids, while honoring my convictions? And so, I don't know, that was a really long-winded answer. But
No, I mean,
it's what this is for. I mean, that's what that's what I want to know too. I mean, because no matter, I mean, as friends, as brothers, like I want to continue to curate this relationship, but I also want to see the community, know who people are down to whatever you're willing to tell. Like I'm not gonna, but so you going into some of that, I mean, it's so great because it's raw, it's genuine.
Well, and
for sure.
Coming from another coach's perspective, I coach at St. Dominic High School. Like it's easy to accidentally make them a number as opposed to, really diving into them as a human being. So I totally get that.
So good, yeah.
It's really hard sometimes to realize that, that win doesn't matter as much as the people that are on your field. So it's really cool to hear that there's coaching staff out there that actually do care about the humans on your field.
And don't get it twisted, we fail, right? Like,
absolutely.
I fail.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, I'm super open with our parents in regards to communication. So like I hear some of the hard feedback. Some of it's just like, okay, be quiet.
Yeah.
Right.
But some of it is like, man, that's a very good point. And I didn't see that perspective because I'm focused on X, Y, and Z and that parent's perspective. But if I were to say, if someone were to really look at my heart, like that's the core of it. But I let these other things pressure me and sometimes mislead me in how I view a kid or treat a kid or talk to a kid or view a kid in regards of value in a program where it's like, man, that's the hardship of trying to process that.
But here's what's cool about this platform then, and something that I'm really passionate about, because I say all the time, like I'm a very intense person. My my RBF is real.
Yeah.
I said I've got a huge heart. I'll do whatever I can for anybody. But here's the thing too, and not that you need any uplifting, you're very confident, but it's like, even coming from a coach's perspective, and what I'm passionate about is people hearing this and knowing how maybe you have reacted, and some of the scenarios that you are kind of like, man, I could have been better at that.
For sure.
But if people know this side of it, they're going to understand the passion purpose versus the typical coach.
Yeah.
And this is what I want people to know about the community, and this is why we do the Vital Wire with coaches, with other business owners, with interior designers. It's like, because if you can understand who you have in your community, you're not going to connect with everybody, right? Yeah. And I tell people this all the time with the practice. I say it almost every podcast, everything I do is, it's like, we're here for anybody. Yeah. We're not for everybody. Come on. But at least if you know where I'm coming from and what you just said here, the next time that you're like, dude, you got to hold that edge. If they're running off you, you have to hold the edge. You have to go. And it's, if you're a little hard on him, we'll be like, you know what? But that's a passion. That's not him being a
Right.
Being that guy.
He loves to say, "See my heart through this." All right.
My disclaimer.
Yeah, it's always whenever there's something coming, and I'm like, okay, I gotta brace myself for it. But see my heart through this, and I think that's a great way to coach too. Like. Knowing that sometimes
I do it with Cheney, do it with the team all the time. I'm like, man, it's like, because correction at any point, it's like, whether it's constructive, whether it's, it's all constructive and growth, as long as we come at it from the right perspective, and you can mean for, but it can still come off like, it really sets somebody off. And like, so when I know something's coming, it's like, man, I don't know how to say this. I've got to say something. It's like, look, see my heart through this.
Yeah, for sure. I'm stealing that.
Absolutely.
I'm stealing that. That's good, man. Because I think it's such a good preface to hard truths or too hard to conflict, right? That's a part of the job on the coaching side that I think is extremely hard. Yeah. Of like, the reality is like, sure, I can have influence over an entire program, but through that clinic on Saturday, it's like coaching coaches. Like, how do I coach my coaches who are grown men? Yeah. Some of them have been doing it way longer than I have. Some of them have wisdom that I'll never have. Like, not that level, but it's not about that, but how do I'm going to use that, see my heart through this, because that conflict is probably my biggest challenge is how do I butt heads with a friend? How do I butt heads with this new guy or whatever it might be? But
Right.
I'm going to steal that phrase. See my heart through this.
Do
and then
it.
just tear them down. No, I'm kidding. Because don't be that guy. It's like, that's what you got. Tear them down and build them up. I'm like, okay. Yeah, because that worked.
No,
Like,
yeah, I've had experiences like that too.
Yeah.
Where it's just like I had one in particular. I was away from her for a while, and I had to sit him down and like, look, and this was one of the see my heart through this. I'm like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll cut wood. I'll clean bathrooms, whatever. I ain't here for boot camp. I don't need to be torn down and build back up. Like I've got a pretty decent foundation.
Yeah.
Like how can I be better?
Sure,
you know,
sure.
we do this a little differently. But yeah, so hopefully, so now all you have to do is even your current team, but especially the incomers. It's like, okay, in order for you to understand how this is going to work, you need to listen to the Vital Wire. Listen to my podcast.
Because you can only play if you show up to everything and listen to Vital Wire. Right now.
Because what I'm about to say, you're going to understand if you listen to this.
But it's only like minute 24, so I need you to start from the That's good. That's so good.
But and it's super cool how you and I have similar passions, and you know, again, how God brings us together, and it's the passions that we have, you know, for the teams we coach, for the communities that we're in. You know, I was blessed, and thank you again for letting me talk to your,
for sure, man. Yeah.
You know, some of your parents at the Booster Club meeting and things like that. I think that sparked some interest in what we have coming forward too. But it's, you know, you mentioned a couple times is you know, this experience for these kids is so important, and to make sure that there is a level of passion and that there is a level of impact and, you know, really that camaraderie, but that drive for something. It's like, but there's also very real situations of, you know, what some of these student athletes go through, what some of these parents and coaches can very much overlook some of the signs and not also coach the parents. Yeah. And like I said, you know, when we talked at that Booster Club meeting before I spoke, it's like, look, if these parents know what to look for, if we as coaches know what to look for, and one of the things we geeked out about was, you know, the mental health side of things. Yeah. You know, some of the things that you very briefly and skipped over in your history and your upbringing. Yeah. It's like we all have it and go through it, and I can just see your passion with how you lead, how you coach, and who you've been since I've known you. That's very, very evident as well. Yeah. And that's very important again for people to know, because there's, when we're on the field, we're on the field. Like, we're here to win. Yeah. Like, let's just be real. We're here to win. We can have fun, and it's more fun winning.
Sure,
okay?
100%. Yeah.
But
that was so fun. You're turbo clock. Go home. You are done.
But
crying? Yeah.
and what else behind the scenes, though? It's like, how can we make that bigger impact? Like you said, there's just so much more to this, and I think you have that vision as well, which is why, you know, I really gravitate towards people like yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Super cool.
What's funny is like a mental health thing I do for myself is I have timers on my social media. Addictive personality through and through. So I think TikTok's the greatest app ever created. Okay?
Oh my gosh!
So I told my wife, I was like, listen, I need limits. I'm going to the bathroom, my legs are numb because I'm sitting there so long. Like, I need you to put a timer on and don't tell me the password. And so,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, but look, you got to be dedicated, because if you do it yourself, you're like, I know the password. And you're just on there.
Right.
So for TikTok, I'm like 10 minutes because that's the best app right there. For Facebook and Instagram, I got 5. And so I remember that day I get on, it's like, time's up. 1 more minute? I'm like, 1 more minute. And I literally saw you with the ad. It's like Cottleville, Howell area. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I was like, babe, unlock some, I need more time. Give me 15 more minutes. And that's my message to you. I was like, this is gonna happen, man.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah,
thank you.
Right?
She's my way better half, man. So,
better 2/3.
For real. Seriously. So it's funny how like I came across that, because it's just like even seeing some of your videos, some of your content, like that part of you, and then just talking via texting back and forth, and then getting to come in and talk with you a little bit more. It's like, dude, what a partnership of, like you said, how God works. But you could be doing this with the people at Panda. You could be doing this with people at the UMB Bank. But just the fact that we were able to connect and already see what it could bring, it just stirs my heart, man. You know, and oftentimes, like on the football side, booster clubs, trying to find sponsorships, it's like, man, I would love to have people a part of our community joining forces with us that we know, care about, and I hope people see that as we bring on sponsors, or as we work with someone, or as we bring you in to talk to our parents. It's like that stuff. I want our kids around good people, and luckily we have a lot of that in Cottleville and St. Charles area. But super sweet to see like the benefit of what this is going to bring out hopefully years to come, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
got fired, but
Yeah, I'll stay. I mean, I don't know where you're
you're
going.
really here because you're kind of commitment here. But for me, I have no idea.
So as we kind of head for home here, we've my assistant's got us on a strict timeline.
She'll yell at us.
So
my fault.
2022. I'll tell you what's super cool already is to see how many of your boys are showing up right now in the off season.
Yeah.
That is super cool,
Yeah.
and really, I don't know how many schools.
speaks
I think there's a lot of
volumes.
schools that obviously do that. It's great to see how consistent your student athletes are in being diligent and being there. That's also very, very cool to see because it's a testament to you, and it's like those kids want to show up for a reason, and building that culture is huge. So for 2023, what's 2023 look like as we go into the spring and then football season's in August?
Yeah.
What's up?
Great question, man. We just graduated 22 seniors.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
So
a rebuild.
It's a rebuild inside of a rebuild. Is like what
Yeah.
people have been saying because if you ask some of the goats, what I call them, some of the guys who built programs and lasted. Brian Koch, when he first got to Howell in 2008. You look at Brent Eckley, who just retired from Jackson High School. You look at Ryan Nesbitt, who just left Troy to go to Jackson. It's like when you talk to those guys about culture and program, dude, that's like a 5 to 10 year process. And I'm like, wait, what? Someone told me 3. I don't know what you mean. But so like understanding like we're in it for the long haul. Really, man, what I want us to do is to grow within our own culture. We went 2-8 2 years ago. First year, awful. Man, I say awful. I just was not happy. But everyone's like, "You're competing. You guys are fighting hard." I'm like, "Shut up." Year 2, 4-6. We win a game we were scheduled to lose. We lose a game we thought we would win. Like so much conflict, but so much growth. So to the outside, it's like, oh, Howell Central lost again. To us, who are putting in the groundwork and who are paving the way, it's like we're growing culture.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
And so having our motto, our identity is find a way to win, find a way through, find a way to achieve, find a way to persevere. And I say that because it's kind of my upbringing. Like statistically, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Right.
With brothers in prison, with like that lifestyle. But it's like, so for our kids, hey, guess what? Everyone's going to say you're too young, you're too small, you're that, you're not the king of twos, what PJ Flex says.
Yeah.
But it's like, own that and find a way. And so really just trying to stick to what we know is proven to work. Invest, be disciplined, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And so
I love that.
our off season looks a little bit different in regards of like this summer we're gonna hit some more 7-on-7s to give our quarterback and our receivers some looks, our new DBs and linebackers some new looks. But really just try to continue to buy into the simple process of just invest, be disciplined, and do it again. But we want to grow. I don't say to be like, hopefully we're okay. No, it's like we want to come out and win. Like a personal goal I had for our program was like, we got to win a home game.
Yeah.
And we got to win on senior night.
Yeah.
Right? And we were able to do both of those things for the first time in
that's so
forever.
awesome.
Right? And so it's like,
cool.
let's go. Let's keep on pushing. And so now, I'll work with our leadership group on our team to do this, but it's, hey, what are y'all's goals before you leave here?
Right.
Part of that is going to be win 5 games. Like we have not won 5 games since 2013.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a hump,
There you
but
go.
I don't want our kid to be defined by if we fall short of that.
Right.
Because although we only won 4 games this year, we were I had the data of like how many points we let up this year as opposed to last year, how many points we scored this year as opposed to last year, and like there's growth in both categories. And so that part is the marginal gains, man. How do we find some small victories all across the place and highlight it? And you're saying like how many kids we have showing up? I know I have to tell a story to the community through our social media.
Yeah.
Because no one's coming to hang out with us in the morning.
Right.
No one's coming to hang out with us after school. No one's watching what our kids are doing when no one else, like so.
I'm right down the road at the gym. I'll come work out with you guys.
Let's go, dude. Free gym. Peer to zero, baby. This gym. But like having that, it's like I want people to see what our kids are building and growing towards because they're doing so many awesome things. And it's not just me. It's our strength coach. It's our coaches in the building that are fostering and building these relationships. It's our parents that they may like me or hate me or love me, whatever, but they're buying in. They're bringing their kids to these things. They're making sure their kids are making it a priority. So it's like, it's so cool to see. And so I would love to say like, we're going undefeated.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I want to continue to grow because we're in year 3. And I know that's the hard part. We just got rid of 22 seniors. But we got 87 current 9 through 11 kids, 9th grade to 11 kids that are like bought in fully and ready to roll. So that's been the cool part too.
That's awesome.
That was a super long one.
That's awesome. No,
I
that's
love
great.
it.
She's like, cut the time.
I think we're probably right on schedule. Well, part 2 is not out of the question.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man.
And look forward to the partnership going forward and watching you continue to build this program.
I appreciate
Heck
you guys.
yes.
All right.
Means a lot.
I love it.
See ya.